So you come and you pester me all the time. Please, say that.
We already got it.
No, anyway, every representative needs to pay attention to their constituents. Your constituents, you have a problem, we're trying to help you with it, that's the job. And so I would say that for folks in other states, they need to go to their senators and their representatives and say, we've got a problem, we want you to listen to us, help us if you can, but this is what's going on and please get informed. That's how you reach them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Senator Fisher, the cuts did not happen. And yet, look, we're all still here. Nyhan of Central States said he is not submitting another plan. It wouldn't matter if he did. His credibility is shot as far as we are concerned. We are here to right a wrong. We refuse to be kept in the dark by anything or anyone regarding this fund anymore. We want some suggestions that we have are give the Central States Fund to the Western Conference, or look at some ideas that I'm going to give you from other committees that they thought of to fix this fund. If companies file bankruptcy, any pension liability must be paid first and foremost before bonuses, other liabilities, severances, or any other costs are considered. Workers must be protected before the company. If companies are not paying fully into the fund, the government has the ability or makes the ability to audit immediately with no warning the assets, bonuses of the CEOs, or any other interested parties. And the example of that one is YRC and their non-union sister, CRST. And see if the company is deliberately causing a bankruptcy just to avoid their responsibilities to the employers or employees. This has been done for years. It was first due to trucking deregulation, and now it's just due to plain greed. Look at IBT's soon-to-be released bills and please consider it. Also, any other bills that would fix this fund. Any bills brought to the table that call for any cuts to the retirees will be rejected by us until MEPRA is reformed, or better yet, completely removed. Even a 10% cut to a retiree means nothing, since the law states that the trustees can go back and take up to 110% of the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation level. The law is not fair. It was just a bad law. Let's get it off the books and go back to the drawing board. COPPA is not a bad bill. Tweak the bill and make it work. There is a solution acceptable to both sides if you understand that the rich can't take it with them when they die, and that leaving old people destitute while expensive art is being traded, sorry, I had a peanut, just to avoid taxes is pretty sad in this country. As a realtor, I understand that taxing $1 million homes in Nebraska could be devastating to some, but since there were only 1,004 of them in the MLS and 385,000 below $1 million, I think the impact to Nebraska will not be as considerable as everyone thinks. I think farmland should be exempted from this, and it would even be less than 1,004. There is absolutely no trust, no fiduciary responsibility, nor has there been any transparency to this fund by the trustees or any fiduciaries. Feinberg said himself, the letters that were given to the retirees regarding their cuts were to be clear and understandable. Too bad he didn't see the one letter that was sent out yearly prior, every year for 10 years. It was absolutely Greek to these retirees. When you make a cake, no one leaves out the sugar or the flour. To not include the fiduciaries, including Central States, and an extensive audit into the fund as well as Wall Street in the GAO investigation is like baking a cake with no flour or sugar. This fund is not the only pension struggling. Use this fund, investigate it thoroughly, and you might just find a way to fix the epidemic spreading through many more funds. Transparency. The word eludes most every aspect of this group of people. If you are doing an investigation into these people's money, don't they have a right to get an update into an investigation of their fund? Not knowing is much more dangerous than having communication. It avoids conspiracy theories, and this is America, not Russia. These people have earned the right to be included in any and all information regarding the money that is theirs, not everyone else's. These people no longer trust nor wish to have the fund in the hands of the people who completely ignored and did not disclose pertinent facts to them, such as bills that were being written to allow cuts at all. What is wrong with bringing back the regulation of trucking? When something works, you don't change it. And let's face it, the deregulation of trucking only happened because of mafia ties with the Teamsters. Now, these guys have moved on. They're either in Wall Street or they're attorneys. So regulation kept accidents down, and it would leave money open to deal with other things like highway safety and fixing roads. It worked, plain and simple. Let's look to the past and see what worked and quit changing it and put the pressure back into the hands of others so the government can focus on more important things. The second phase of MEPRA is going to be thrown, we believe, into the next omnibus bill. This cannot be allowed to happen. It is another bill that will cut pensions that are not in as much crisis as this one. But without knowing exactly why this is happening, it is unfair to anyone across the nation to have their pensions cut for any reason until we get to the bottom of this. Our congressional representatives must be diligent and not allow those to reap from these funds to just allow secret bills like this to ever pass again. Which brings me to the pension experts in this. For years, Congress has been listening to these so-called experts give guidance that is driving down retirements for millions of people in this country. Why? Randy Dufresne of the National Coordinating Committee for Multi-Employer Plans, or the NCCMP, called out Goldman Sachs in 2010. And yet Thomas Nyhan of Central States Health and Welfare, who also sat on the NCCM boards, did nothing to recoup any losses like some other pension companies did. What pension expert would sit by idly while other pensions across the country fought and gained money back for their funds? Everyone lost in 2008, Nyhan's reply. What was Nyhan's reply when asked about it? Yep, these are your pension experts at their best. Even MEPRA speaks volumes to how lousy they really are at this. The only thing MEPRA has accomplished so far is to make more money for law firms and lose even more money for central states, because in the implementation of law, the waste of time and money absolutely was a complete failure when it was proven they couldn't make it work. Is this the kind of laws you want on the books? Even though they are not in the state, we support our mine workers in this country. Our Congress must protect them all. God bless the mine worker. Repeal MEPRA, re-regulate trucking, no more backdooring bills on pensions at all. Relook at COPPA, quit looking at lobbying groups as pension experts, merge the conferences, endorse any bills that might fix the fund without cutting retirees' pensions. Don't let the companies scapegoat retirees while shifting their wealth elsewhere. The GAO investigation must be transparent with updates given, and remove the fund from those who are just using it to their own interests. Come on, would you invest in Turkey right now? Well, the fund is. How many insane examples have to be given to Congress for them to say, well, maybe these non-pension experts really have some valid points? Then these so-called experts, how many non-pension experts really have some valid points than these so-called pension experts? Because it doesn't take a CPA to understand a fund. It just takes common sense. We are pleading with Congress. We have no reason at this time to keep fighting if our cuts won't happen. But this was never just about the cuts. It's also about fixing not only our future, but the future of generations to come. Let's roll up our sleeves. It's time to clean house, get rid of the blinds, and then fumigate and rid this house of vermin. We are not going away until our house is clean. We thank you so much for being with us and hearing us, and hope you can offer some solution on this.
Thank you. If I if I can address 3 points that Mary brought up in her comments, and then I would just like to hear from you folks and what you're experiencing and maybe some suggestions from you. I would say, first of all, on the GAO and the investigation that's happening there. I'm going to introduce PJ Austin, the tall young man. He's from my office in DC, and he's been handling all of this for me. So he came out from DC to be here, and he has reached out to GAO in order to find out where they are in the process with the investigation. We haven't learned anything yet. We haven't heard about any kind of timetable from the GAO, but we will continue to look into it. But I wanted you to be sure that you have a face to the young man who's in my office and working on all of this. Secondly, you mentioned the minors. And there was a bill recently up in the Senate dealing with Puerto Rico and the economic fiscal situation that's going on in Puerto Rico. Part of that discussion centered in a roundabout way on the minor situation, because there were some senators who were concerned about their funds as well. It seems as though that there will be a hearing by the Finance Committee maybe in September. Now that's what we're kind of hearing, but so you can watch that, and that will be discussed. Their pension, I'm not on the Finance Committee, so I won't be involved in that hearing, but I just bring that to your attention so that you can keep up to date on what's happening there. And then you mentioned the omnibus. And when we look at the omnibus at the end of the year, which we'll be looking at again this year, as you know, a lot of stuff gets thrown in that. I'm not going to support an omnibus. I think that for the Congress to do our job, we have to look at each appropriations bills. There are 12 appropriation bills. They all came out of the Appropriations Committee this year. We were able to only get 60 votes to take up a handful of those on the floor, so that was very disappointing, because then it throws it to the end of the year and we go through that whole situation again. So I bring that to your attention, that is probably what's going to be happening this year. Believe me, you have flagged for me this issue, and we'll be watching it to see if anything is going to come up in the omnibus, and we'll let you know if we see anything in there when it does happen. But with that, I'd be happy to just hear your folks, and if you have anything you want to bring to my attention.
Don't be shy, guys.
Don't be shy.
You're
Yes,
never
sir.
shy the other
I'm
time.
just curious, this omnibus bill, aren't they usually just huge,
Yes.
with many, many pages?
Yes.
Hard to follow, hard to catch. They can slip something in just a few paragraphs and nobody knows the difference.
Yeah.
Do you have to go through all that? I mean, that's what you
Yes.
do.
Yeah, and there's usually not much time to go through it, and that's why I have good staff. PJ's up all night with the rest of my staff trying to pick it apart and go through it. But it is very difficult to get through, because it's hard. Sometimes there's something that's put in that, for example, you folks and how you were affected last time. I mean, you all know the story. We were told that the unions were fine with this, that they had presented it and the unions were fine with it. Find out it wasn't true. So we'll be watching.
What would be wrong with the government investigating central states and follow the money, from as far back as a decade ago till now, to see where this money went? We've heard there's all kinds of figures thrown around. They lost 40% and stuff like this. That's a lot of money to lose, And like I was with UPS, they paid supposedly $6.2 or $6.5 million just to get out of the pension fund. They paid that for the unfunded liability, and supposedly that money was lost in a China deal in a matter of 3 months. And you just lost your money, that's it. And they paid $23,000, I think it was the figure, that they had to pay to this financial institution, which if they did a service of investing this money, but I mean, to lose that kind of money in 3 months' time, but this is the stories that we're getting, and I'd like to know why the government would, I mean, a guy with a gun goes and robs a gas station and gets $400, he gets 20 years in prison. These guys with a pen and an education can steal billions of dollars and walk free, you know?
Right.
That's just a lot of money for them to lose and not be held accountable for, other than the fact you lost it in the stock market. We was better off with the mob in Vegas. At least they paid us back. The government doing an investigation on this.
There's nothing wrong with the government doing an investigation, you know, that's, when I said the GAO, that's the General Accounting Office, and so there's been a request, and we reached out and supported that request, that they do an investigation. So
Okay.
we'll continue to follow up on that.
I'd be a lot more comfortable with that than anything else. Just you lost that money, tough, you know?
agreed. Yes, sir.
Wasn't the U.S. Treasury Department the overseer of this plan? Labor?
Department of Labor.
So the government was involved in our pension
Right,
plan
absolutely.
and somewhat of an overseer, and how it got where it is today. Any one of us could say how that happened. You know, because the unions were mentioned that, oh, it was okay with them. What about us? Did we have a say-so in this?
Right.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Another thing I would like to see, I'd like to see if there's no gain in the money that we're investing, there's no pay for the financial institution that's doing it. You know, make it a win-win for both sides. They shouldn't get paid if they don't make any money for us. But thank you for the opportunity.
My honor. Yes, sir.
Is there any chance of getting that COPPA bill passed through this year?
Is that Senator
For
Sanders'
the
bill?
election? Yeah.
Yeah. No.
That was very quick.
I have not. I have not. Senator Sanders' bill doesn't have a pay for. It has a tax increase. I can't support that.
How come?
I can't support a tax increase. That's where I am philosophically. So I can't do that.
Tax increases on billionaires, though. I mean, they don't pay anything anyhow. Well, no.
Tweak it.
Tweak it. Yeah, Mary told me I need to tweak it.
Tweak it so it'll work.
Senator Portman, I signed on to Senator Portman's bill.
Yes, she
That he has.
absolutely
So
supported the
that's-
bill.
That's a step. Yes, sir.
This fellow over here brought up UPS. My question is, after the 2008 contract, when them people are out of central states, but when they turn 65,